My friends, Jim Spadero's still here in the shop. You'll recall on the last shop talk, which was this past Friday, we talked about this Glen Mandolin and the neck and how it was really a little bit crooked to the body. We've been examining it a bit more. It's a little bit wonkus. It's not horrible, it just could be better. And if you'll notice here, you can see there's quite a bit of space on this side and a little less space on this side. And I'll be honest, some of my mandolins are a little bit like that too. Not quite to this extreme, I don't think. And then the neck is cocked this way. So what I think, because the neck was cocked this way a little bit, the crooked, cocked towards the base side, I think because of that, he offset this a little bit and anyway, put it over there. That way, when you're drawing straight down the center, it does kind of line up with the center here of the mandolin. So the bridge would kind of be in the center. But the tailpiece doesn't line up well that way. In other words, if he put the tailpiece on the center line, keep in mind, this is cocked so that it runs across the center of the center line, but it doesn't run down the length of the center line, if that makes sense to you. So we're going to slide the tailpiece over. We've done some pretty accurate calculations here, and we've drawn a new center line and all that. So you can see there that we sawed the old pin off and left it glued in the hole. And we're going to have to drill a new hole right next to it. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I've got a little tiny mark there at the end of the screwdriver, and we're going to drill a new hole about right there and put the tailpiece back on it. So that's what we're going to do. Here we go. Well, I do like this. This is sure beats cleaning septic tanks.
Yeah, I imagine so.
That's all how you look at it.
Yeah. Very few people get to do what they really want to do with their lives,
Right. Okay, we've got this all marked, and we're going to take a small drill. This drill I know is good for little screws. It's probably too small for the screws we have, but I'm going to start with this. I've shown this before, this technique, but I just thought I'd reinforce it here. If you take your screw that you're going to use and you lay your bit, or your drill, some people call these a drill, and you lay it on there, and then you look on both sides, you should be able to see threads on both sides of your screw. Then that's the perfect size drill. If you use a drill that's too small, where you're seeing the body and the threads, then you're going to split your wood out. This one here looks just about perfect to me. I can see threads on both sides and I don't see the body of the screw. So we'll use that, we'll put it in here, and we'll re-drill we'll re-drill all the holes because we can just step them all up a little bit. So we've got the screw holes drilled. Now we'll drill the new end pin hole here with the same drill. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get the tailpiece itself mounted, and because these are new holes and we're putting the screws in there, I'm just putting a little wax on the threads, and it makes them drive in a little bit easier. As my good buddy Jeff Bradshaw from elderlyiron.com says, start them all before you tighten any. The reason for that is that if you tighten one down, then the holes may not line up. And see, if you chose the proper size drill, they screw in fairly easy. But if you would happen to get a smaller drill, then you'll be twisting the head of your screws off or splitting the wood, one of the two. These are driving tight enough as it is, and I know that that drill is properly sized. So had I put a smaller drill in there, this would be really hard to drive in. Okay, they're real good and tight, real snug. It's not going anywhere. Another pro tip I didn't show you on camera is that I take like a piece of paper, in this case I used this 220 sandpaper, I folded it over double. I slid that in here. I used that as my spacer to keep the tailpiece off the top by just that amount. The reason I do that is it gives it a little bit better sustain. You could actually mute your vibrations if you had this big heavy clunky thing sitting on your top, and it could rattle. So if you leave that little bit of space there, then you solve all those problems. You're going to get a little bit better sustain. You're guaranteeing you're not going to get any rattling or vibration, and you're not going to mute any sounds. And yet it's such a small gap that it's still very strong. If you raise it up a lot, you'll be weakening your tailpiece. Okay, we're going to put this one on. We've decided to go with the metal one this time for 2 or 3 reasons. One is it's very strong, number one. And number 2, it won't come loose. Wood can pop out. That's got that inherent danger of popping out of the hole unless you glue it in, and you're really not supposed to glue them in. You're supposed to pressure fit them. And also, you can always redo a screw hole easy versus the wood with the great big hole. And it also takes a lot of time to put the wooden one in properly. So there's a lot of advantages of using a metal tail pin. So that's what we're doing in this case. And it's reversible. You could always go with the wooden one later if you want to. It's hard to go with the metal one after you've gone with the wooden one though. And even one more benefit is that the metal one seems to hold your strap even a little bit better. The wooden ones a lot of times don't hold the strap all that well. I believe we've got it there. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it back out. And I'm going to make a little washer to fit these big oblong holes. It's kind of sitting a little bit crooked because it doesn't quite fit across the hole, yet it won't fit down in the hole either. So what I do in a case like this, I just make a little washer, screw this into a washer, and then it'll hold it flat. So I'll do that. I'll be right back. I don't know if you can see it, but I did put a little tiny washer under here. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and screw it down, and it'll be good and flat, and it won't be cockeyed. The washer just takes up the same amount of space roughly as the tailpiece. And we can tighten her down real good and tight, and it's solid, very good and solid. So there's what she looks like, all finished up. We're a little bit off center, but not as bad as I thought we were going to be. We're just a little bit off center. So let's see here now. Does it line up better? Does it look like it lines up better? Sorta. By the way, this mandolin also has the slanted issue too. If you look there, it's slanted a little bit towards the treble side. I don't know if that'll show up in the video very well or not, but it is slanted. You know, I'm exaggerating, but it's slanted this way quite a bit. All right, well, let's put some strings on this thing and see if it looks better. Well, my friends, we got her all strung back up. You can see the strings are running down the middle of the neck now. You can see that the tailpiece, you know, the strings, everything's in line. Now, there's a little tiny, if you're getting really picky, it's a little less space right here than there is right here. That's not that uncommon on a lot of instruments, so it's not like that's horrible. The other thing that you could notice, and I noticed because it's me, is that this tail piece is now cocked this way. In other words, it's not straight perpendicular. Because we had to move it around the curve a little bit more, it's now, when you do that, the tail piece lines up a little bit more crooked. So I noticed that myself, but it's not that much, and very few people are going to notice that. Overall, I think it works good. Are you okay with it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think it improved it overall. To get my fingers to move. With the arthritis, they don't always want to move. They kind of stiff. sound of mandolin. It's got a lot of punch. It's a good looking mandolin too when you just look at it. A lot of people like that satiny finish. I think Jim's going to change it though, aren't you?
Yep.
He's going to take it to a finishing class and rework the whole finish on it. But I think it's a really nice little mandolin. The fellow that made these Glenn mandolins was named Alan Jones. Glenn was his son's name, and that's where he named the mandolins after. Alan was a really fantastic banjo player, and he built mandolins for some reason rather than banjos. I don't know why that is, because he mostly played banjo, at least in the groups that I heard him in. I don't recall ever really hearing him play mandolin, but it's odd that he actually built the mandolins though. But he did a nice job overall on this, and it's going to look a little different. Are you going to change the color? Are you going to change the color? Are you going to keep it the same kind of color and just do the finish, or what are you going to do?
I haven't decided yet. I don't know, really.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed straightening up a little kind of a complicated issue there. Thanks for watching.